Everyone, it's 6:02. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We will start the evening out with owners' comments. Just as a formality with owners' comments, if you could raise your hand. And when you are called on, state your name, your address, and then we are going to limit owners' comments in the essence of time to 3 minutes per comment, because we have a full agenda, but that's our normal process, is to limit comments to three minutes. And Mr. Davis Anderson will be my timekeeper. So let me see on the participants. Do we have any hands raised for comments? Lee Moore? Go right ahead, Lee Moore.
Hi, thanks. Sorry, I didn't see the hand option.
No, you're fine. I got you.
Okay, sorry, it's my fault. First, I just wanted to thank you guys for your service. I think it's one thing that you probably don't get a whole lot of, but I think the management RFP process has been long, and I'm sure you're not through it yet completely. But I just wanted to thank you guys for all the hard work you put in for that, and all the volunteers that worked on it. It's a lot of work, and I really appreciate the professionalism that you guys have done. I did want to ask a quick question about transition, because I am concerned that maybe we might be losing some staff, and seeing that and wondering if you guys are concerned with that at all. I know that maybe some park monitors have gone. I've seen less coverage, and I don't know if maybe there's some idea that we can do that might help with that, maybe private security if we don't have enough. But I don't know, you see it better than I do. But I am concerned that we are seeing staff leave, and is there a process for that, or have you spoken to CCMC about that, or anything? Or are you concerned with that? So again, that's really all I want to talk about. I did want to mention the basketball courts, but I think that's something we can talk about later, or maybe you can bring that up with staff. It's been a really long time since those things have been out, and it's been practically the whole entire summer. But anyway, back to, I appreciate what you've done for the community, and I think all your time with the RFP process, and I'll give up my time. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you for saying that. I will make one comment. Grand Manners is with the ratification or the approval of the contract tonight, we'll be able to start the hiring recruiting process. We were understaffed before we actually went into this process, and they've been attempting to hire people. But we are down, I think,
we were, if you talk about park and pool monitors, yeah. There were 8 positions. We were down 6. So we were down to 2 people.
Yeah, go ahead.
And what we have done is, with the contract tonight, we've been working with CCMC on the transition, and CCMC has been very good to work with. I want to say that publicly. They're going to allow Grand Manners to start getting very actively involved, assuming we approve the contract tonight. And then Grand Manners will actually be able to start hiring some people who would stay. We're looking at a transition date of November 1st. So Lee, exactly when you talk about park and pool monitors as an example, we're going to start trying to fill those positions, and we have been looking at salary ranges and everything, reflecting the realities of inflation, the COVID world, and everything that everybody is familiar with. So we're very aware. We're very much looking forward to that. Jackson has spent a lot of time over the last couple of weeks with Amber, Stacy, and others, getting them to meet people around town and everything, so that they can get up to speed on the transition very fast. So transition is really the board's key focus item for the next, rest this year, to be honest.
In the next year. Thank you for making that comment. We do have another hand up. Timothy Hannon.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you just fine. Thank you.
Okay, great. I just wanted to take just a couple of minutes to talk about the delay of the pickleball vote. I've been playing pickleball for about 3 years. I haven't seen anything on the back porch until this week about pickleball. And it's sensational, the amount of negative information from people that have never heard of pickleball, never played pickleball. I have been involved with the pickleball onset and the task force formation. I was a member, a community member, going to recreation committee meetings month in and month out. I would be the only person there, or Steve Northridge would sometimes join as well. And then he really took up the baton. We have been involved directly and loudly and participatively with CROA and the rec committee for more than 3 years. And the sensationalism on the back porch that this is coming from out of nowhere. As a matter of fact, about 2 months ago, the town manager sent out a flyer, whatever you call your communications, and asked for people to join the pickleball task force. So this has not been done in a vacuum. It has not been behind closed doors. It has been out in the open and it's been active for 3 years. And I really, really object to the fact that you are delaying the vote on this. We have acted in a way that you would want residents to act. We've joined committees, we've formed committees, we've been in attendance at meetings, we've waited for task forces to finalize reviews of information from surveys. So I am really, really disappointed that the committee has decided to postpone the vote on pickleball. We have waited for more than 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. And you do have my assurance that pickleball will be scheduled in the month of September as soon as we pick a date. So we are going to discuss that and get a date picked as soon as possible to get the promised Q&A question and answer session, as well as communication up on the website. So we will make sure that everyone is communicated to, so everyone understands the process, understands the history. And again, I will publicly say thank you to everyone who has put numerous uncountable hours into preparing this, but we want to make sure that there is no opinion that it has been done behind closed doors, because it has not. So, all right, we will go with our next hand up, I think is Mrs. Barr.
Hi, Eileen Barr, 1138 Mosaic Drive. I just want to remind everybody, and of course the board knows this, but when you read all those, all that commentary on the back porch, I mean, the prior speaker reminded me that this is something that we have to throw out there from time to time, that the money we're talking about here, and there was a dig at the dog park again, and I can handle it. But the money, and I wish Lee had maybe said something, because he was very instrumental in this, but the community itself, a number of years ago, changed the charter to have collect a 1-year assessment fee from people buying new property in Celebration, which was designed to go into recreational amenities. And that's where the money is not coming out of, our reserve fund or our operating expenses. And I think every once in a while we need to remind everybody of that this is money that the board has taken very good care of. And for 2 years, they didn't spend any of this money. And unfortunately, I think that's part of the delay, is that they just didn't want to spend it. But this was a community decision that this money would go into this particular pot, and everything that we build, whether you like it or not, whether it's something you're going to use or not, does make this a better community, a more sellable community, and just increase the quality of life here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eileen, thank you very much for that comment. What I would like to say is we've been working on the 2022 budget, and in there we look at capital funding, including the impacts of Island Village. We're probably going to end this year with capital funds of about 1.9 million. Now that's before spending anything. And then we're going to grow it by about $1 million a year for the next 2 to 3 years. So you are correct. There is a funding source, and we're not spending operating funds that keep us from being able to do the services we do. That's all independent of that. We have a capital funds sourcing stream. So that's always been part of our process there. And we have pickleball, but we've also looked at the other projects, like at Lakeside, a canopy area there. We've looked at an expansion of the 851 building. We're looking at adult sports. We're looking at a number of things and always listening. So this is just part of an overall equation that ties into the Parks and Facilities Plan that was done a couple of years ago that the whole community provided feedback on.
Good. Any other hands up or any other comments? I don't see anything in the chat.
Gary Hudspeth.
Gary Hudspeth,
On,
go right ahead, sir.
yes, Hi, I'm on the phone, Gary Hudspeth, 1471 Resolute Street. I'm speaking as a member of the Covenants Committee and formerly of the Charter Review Task Force. While you have read my email I sent to the board, I would like to invite your attention to one item that I'd like to emphasize, and that is I'm recommending the removal of the phrase first-class standard from the community management contract. That first-class standard was defined in the original contract in 2000, and it was deleted long ago in the 2017 contract update. It is, there is no definition to it any longer. It is not in the charter. It is not in the bylaws. The definition I left in the email and on a piece of paper on your Diaz this afternoon does not apply any longer, and it conflicts with the community-wide standard, which is defined in the charter. I'd like to keep the community-wide standard definition as the founding definition because it's the one that's reflected in the design guidelines, and therefore I'd like you to remove the phrase first-class standard from the management contract, which would be confusing to residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Any further comments? I don't see any hands up. No? Okay. Very good. I appreciate everyone's comments, and we will proceed with our board meeting. Can I verify that the meeting was properly noticed?
Yes, it was noticed at least 48 hours in advance.
Thank you very much, Susanna. And can I verify that we have a quorum? Yes, we do.
Do.
We do. We are missing
5 out of
one board
7.
member who is traveling, but we also have Celia who is online. All right, can everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag
flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty. and justice for all.
Hard to do with remotely. That's hard to do with the time delay. All right. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. I'm gonna change.
We don't have to change the
Yeah.
agenda?
Yes, we were.
So,
So just one moment, please.
No,
Let
you
me-
don't adopt it. It's open for conversation.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Conversation. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm trying to get my computer to open back up here. Here we go. Sorry, I gotta get back there. All right. We have a motion and we have a second to adopt the agenda. Is there any comments?
I'd like to ask that we remove pickleball lot discussion to a date that we will determine in September. And the reason we'd like to do that is we made a decision today to defer the conversation, but then I'd also like to briefly discuss that we will pick a date and what we're expecting to do to be ready for that date.
So you want to change number 2 to a discussion of a future meeting date?
Yeah, we can change number 2 to be a
Or
pickleball
is it
lot.
tabling the discussion?
It can be pickle lot, it can be pickleball, date determination and approach.
Okay.
Are there any other changes to the agenda? Okay. So we have a motion to change the agenda, item number 2. Who was the motion, who's for?
Cindy
And
was the first.
first and
and I
who was
was the
second?
second.
Does everyone,
Are you in agree? I'm in agreement.
Yes.
okay,
So it's a modified
to
motion.
modify the agenda. Celia, we'll call the vote. Celia?
You're on mute.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. Jackson?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Okay, so we will modify the agenda. Sorry about that. My computer is not keeping up with me tonight. Okay, so we have the agenda. Do we have any committee reports this evening? Anyone from the committees that has a report to offer? I'm gonna say,
can I make a something on the lawn sports task force or no?
Go ahead.
go right ahead.
Just that we have the adult lawn sports task force moving along so that everyone knows this, for a location for croquet moving forward. They're working on it.
Very good. We look forward to that task force report when they are ready and have determined where they will be headed. Okay. All right. I will turn it to our treasurer for our financial review.
Hello. So I did an executive summary. And so everyone knows we had total income so far year to date of 3,158,275. We're actually showing a little bit of loss, but that's because we took out things that don't really cost us anything, like depreciation. The money goes to capital improvements, replacement reserves. But overall, we're in very good shape. Balances keep going up, so we're good.
Any questions? No? Okay. The next thing on the agenda is management comments, which is in a strange location on the agenda. Do we want to skip that and go right to the action items? Any management comments?
No, we don't have any this evening.
Okay. Okay. Didn't know whether, no comments. There was nothing to do. Okay. So we'll move to our action and discussion items. Action item number 1 is a motion to approve the Grand Manors management contract. Jackson.
I move to approve the contract with Grand Manors, subject to the Scribner's wording changes as we've directed Tom in executive session to make.
Okay.
I'd love to second that.
Very nice. Any discussion regarding this process and the approval?
Just a clarification, if I may, just on the language on that, when you talk about Scribner's. Just for those who
These
aren't-
are minor wording
Thank
changes
you.
that reflect the comments of the board and the community. None of them are material changes. And they have all been essentially agreed to by Grand Manors already. We're just putting them into the document to clean it up and
Thank you.
make sure that it's all consistent and the right language is there. So I want to just publicly acknowledge a couple of things. One is I want to thank Grand Manors. Amber Orduno is here tonight from Grand Manors. She'll be our interim executive director. She's hiding in the back. I've had the privilege of spending time with Amber and with Stacy Titleman the last week and two,
Stacy's online.
and introducing both of them to a wide range of members of the community. But everything that Grand Manors has done has been consistent with what we saw during the proposal and the invitation process. Their willingness to discuss this contract and to work with us in good faith in partnership is something that Tom and I were talking about between the meetings. It's really refreshing and rewarding to have a partner that is cooperative and wants to work with us, as CCMC has been for many, many years. And this was not a negotiation in which either party was trying to gain an advantage. It was, how do we spell out the obligations of both parties? So I want to thank Amber, if you would express our thanks to your team and your staff. The other person I want to thank is Tom Slayton and Larson and Associates. I'm not sure if everybody in the community gets how challenging it is to write a contract like this, to produce it, get it out, get it reviewed, get it approved, do all the things that have to be done, and to do it in about 2 weeks. That is not normal. just going to say that's not normal. So on behalf of the board, Tom, thank you for your work. And then ultimately, I want to thank the other board members. This has been a cooperative effort. I'm proud of the fact that we have agreed unanimously on every step we've taken in this RFP process, going all the way back, and the work of the task force and all the committees, and then leading to the board being here tonight. This is a momentous opportunity for us to approve this contract, to move forward, and to begin the transition process that will allow our staff and our community the assurance of knowing that we are moving forward with confidence. So thanks to everybody.
And then Gary Hudspeth had raised a note before. I think that was in our Scribner's notes.
It is. We've already dealt with that. So thanks for your comments, Gary. And they were.
That was one of the ones that we had addressed during the executive session prior to this meeting.
Right.
And thank you, Jackson.
Yes.
And thank you, everybody else. on the board.
Thank you. Very well done, team. Any other questions or concerns? What we're doing tonight will open the door for Grand Manners to really full out start the process of transition. So.
Yeah, I'd like to also single out Jackson for your leadership, your expertise, your attention to detail. Yeah, I echo all of the thanks that you've given, and to Tom, to Grand Manners, to the task force for all their hundreds of hours of work. The documents are all as part of the packet. It's all public. The statement of work has been out there before. The Grand Manners proposal that we all reviewed months ago is part of this. But particularly, I just wanted to thank you, Jackson. I know you were have been part of the board, and so you're thinking, but I think you deserve to be singled out for that.
Thank you. One additional comment. This will be CROA's approval. We have a CCS board meeting after this, and Tom has been in contact with Paige Pierce, and CJC will be having a meeting shortly to approve it. And then CROA is doing whatever CROA is doing, and that they're going to have a separate contract, and that'll be the last piece of the puzzle. So everybody's moving forward.
Okay, but with the approval tonight, that does fully start the transition process. We had our team here from Grand Manners spending time working with the employees, really meeting some people here in the community. So from here until basically 60 days, we transition, and there is a lot of work to be done. And we have a transition liaisons from the board who will be kind of helping with that process, being the go-to people for that. So we appreciate those, David and Jackson and Cindy, sorry, who have agreed to be part of that transition liaison team. And there's a lot of work to be done. And we will update you as things change, as we get things implemented. And I'm very happy to say that our employees will be able to get letters of offers of employment from Grand Manners and stay with us and help build our team going into the future. So very pleased with this result. Any other further comments? Okay, I do need to check.
It's an amazing experience, Diana.
It has been when we started this long time ago, this is the culmination of that, but there's still a lot of work to be done. I just want to verify that our other board member has not joined online. He has not, right? So I will call the vote. Celia.
Yes.
Your vote on the contract is yes. Jackson.
Yes.
Cindy.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
And I am a yes, and very enthusiastically, and congratulations. And we have a new management company.
Yes.
Very good. As we move on, thank you very much. All right, number 2 on the agenda is to discuss. Hello? Okay, future pickleball, what was? Date determination and approach, sorry. Yes, you may. Thank you very much, Tom. Enjoy your evening. We no longer need our legal counsel to answer questions on the contract because we are done.
You don't want to hear about pickleball?
I can't say.
No, and he says he has never even played it, so he joins the rest of us. All right, so after reviewing a lot of resident comments, communications today, we made the decision to table the actual approval discussions, but we want to set forward a plan to swiftly continue the discussion and just kind of pick up where we left off. So what we would like to do is set a meeting date, which will be a pickleball board meeting. Only, pickleball only, to talk about what we were going to talk about this evening. Prior to that meeting, I will ask our management team to, on our company on the town hall website, put a tab for residents to go online. They can look at the pickleball proposal. They will look at all the minutes from the pickleball task force meetings. We will post everything under that tab available to residents on any information you could possibly want to know about the process that we have gone through so far, up to including the 2019 survey that had pickleball as the number 2 requested recreational item from the resident survey that was taken in 2019. So once we gather all that information, we'll get that posted to the town hall website. When would be a good time for the meeting to be held? It will be held by Zoom. And we will have the board members there. We will ask that the pickleball task force be there, as well as our Parks and Recreation Committee, who had a liaison to the pickleball task force, as well as the Parks and Rec Committee. So what day are we looking at on our calendars? Based on the other meetings.
So the board meeting is the 8th
We have a board meeting on Wednesday, the 8th
and
and
the
Mhm.
and the
22nd.
22nd.
Let's do the week of the 13th.
Let's look at the weekend between.
Okay.
We have condo council on the 14th, right, Jackson?
Correct.
And
The 15th? What's on the 15th? What's on the
Well, it
15th?
was
I have,
discussed
Brian, I
possibly the
have budget
budget
review at
We had a
3:00.
budget meeting.
tentatively
I don't have it on
talked
mine.
about.
It was a
I got it from
tentative
you.
date that was
That's for later.
discussed,
Let's
so.
set the pickleball. We can move the budget. review.
Okay, yes, we can. So why don't we pick the 6 o'clock on September 15th?
Wednesday.
Can we ask people online? Because I know there are people online who are involved.
I have a couple chats. Maybe that should be a workshop and then we can do actual meeting on a scheduled meeting. Well, actually, that's from Lee Moore. Actually, I'd like it to be a question and answer session. If anyone has questions to be brought up, where it'll be very interactive,
Right, because one of the things,
which is more of a workshop
there's
format.
like a pickleball task force meeting tomorrow. One of the things I'm gonna, and I talked with Mike and Steve, Mike Jackson and Steve Northridge today. I'm intending that to ask the pickleball task force to put together the materials, put them out there, because there's just a lot of stuff on Facebook that was just blatantly wrong. So, I really wanted to answer those questions and say, here are the truths, and the recreational committee, if they have comments, they need to provide a paper too. So we really don't want to come to this meeting and bring up brand new points that no one's had a chance to review and stuff like that. So we're looking for feedback that can be posted there so the community as a whole can read the materials. And then I think a Q&A is a wonderful idea.
So those material, and that will give us time to get those materials up online, because today's the 25th, the meeting's the 15th. That'll give us time to get those up online. And just to you brought up a point, and just to clarify, the reason that we chose to take it off the agenda was not that we don't want to go forward with it. It was really that I felt that with as much conversation that was out there and misinformation and disinformation that was out there, that I really felt that we had a communication and a transparency issue. And that's why I wanted to stop it in its tracks. We want to be as transparent and open and have as much communication as possible about this. It's a big investment. It's a big use of our land. So that's why we decided to table the motion, to table the conversation. We do have one other comment here. Go ahead.
Yeah, and before the comment comes up, let me say this. What we were doing was trying to pick the location for the fields, Lot D versus Lot B, and where on Lot D, but that's what was going to be Celia and my recommendation as the liaisons, because it's cheaper and more efficient to only do all the soil testing, drainage, and all other type of stuff once and do it right. Also, it didn't say it in the paper, but we want to get a quote for converting all of Lot D to proper parking. We're not thinking pavement here or asphalt here. We're thinking other substance that works. So it was to really get stuff fixed out there so the fields are pretty much totally usable. And that left Lot B for other purposes, including maybe a community garden or stuff like that even. So, really looking at the space. So the conversation was about getting it so that we knew the location and then charging the pickleball task force to get the actual quotes, because a lot of people talked about how much money we're going to spend and whether it's 12 courts. We really could talk about 8, 10 or 12 courts plus a handicap court. A lot of money. And it's important to understand, we have a $900,000 dog park, not because of the dog park itself, and we have 4.8 million for the other fields, because you're building in an area that is so low and requires so much work to prep it to get it ready. So, you hear numbers, but when you're building out there, the land was given to us, but it's an expensive place to build, and it's the last piece of land we have. So it's important to have all the facts, and that's what we want to get in front of people.
Okay. We do have a comment from the Parks and Rec Committee on chat that says Parks and Rec Committee has provided a detailed recommendation that can be shared at will. So we will also put that, I'll also get that to JR to put on the town hall website.
Can I say one
Cindy, yes, I want to
Um,
read that and then go you.
So I wanted my 2 cents. So every bit of 10 years ago, we had a meeting here at the town hall on a Saturday, provided lunch, and invited anybody in the community that wanted to join us and discuss amenities. At that time, 10 years ago, pickleball was mentioned. Now, there are quite a few people here that were advocating for it, but at that time, we didn't have any land. And we didn't want to, take half the tennis courts or whatever. So it's been, the gentleman that spoke earlier said that they've been in negotiations for 3 years, but this has been on the table for 10 years at least. So, there are people out there that like to play. I saw a video on the back porch today. I thought, maybe I could even do that with my bum knee, but,
So you're the mystery pickleball.
You're the.
yeah, no, haven't played yet, and I still don't think my knee can do it. But anyway, I just want to let, those of you that are out there know that this is something that residents have been asking for a long time. It's just that before this land was donated, we had no place to put it. So that's my 2 cents.
Very good. Celia's hand is also raised, and then I'll go to Susanna.
So to make this clear publicly, after we have this meeting on September 15th with the community and the residents, it will be noted and that everyone will know what's going on. So this will be final. And in a month from now, when somebody raises, we didn't know about this, this will be final because we're making the community aware of it then, right?
Well,
We'll see what we have to, we will have to vote. We'll have to see
Right.
where it ends up. Yes, we will.
Right.
Yes.
But we're giving the community the opportunity now to appear on September 15th. There are a lot of people that were going to appear tonight and nobody has said anything. So we're putting it out there for the community. We're being totally transparent. If nobody shows up virtually or makes any comments or anything, suggesting anything against this, then we can move forward.
Okay.
Right?
We will, and that will be discussed at that meeting, and we certainly hope to move forward with the process. We don't, we
And I'm
can't.
sorry, I didn't mean not everyone showed up. I do see a
No,
resident.
we have a great
Yes,
group of people
we
online,
have
more than we
great-
normally have. So thank
And
you.
it would be amazing if this happened more often, that we had more residents, because then everybody would know what was going on.
Mhm. Very good. David,
But in fact, this has been discussed publicly for a year. We've had many discussions on this, and it's just, for whatever reason, this got spilled up today in the last few days. But there have been lots of public discussions. We can name the dates. And it's been in the Celebration News regularly that we're discussing it. So
well, and that's
this
why.
is just, this is an appropriate step back to re-engage, but we will move forward promptly in some direction. We haven't decided what the direction
We
is.
will decide that, but I appreciate, that's a very eloquent way of putting it,
No,
an
it's-
appropriate
but thank
step
you.
back to
It's
re-engage.
just a step back.
Very good.
I-
Susanna,
No, I was just trying to clarify the date, the time of the meeting on the 15th. There is a lawn sports, speaking of sports, from 4 to 6 that day. Will the
6
meeting
o'clock.
start at 6?
I think 6 would be a good time,
6 is fine.
which is our normal meeting start time, but thank you for
Very good.
clarifying that.
Yeah.
There's lots of questions. I can't keep up with all the comments online, so I know the residents can read the comments in the chat box. Okay. All right, so we are set. We have our meeting time. We have our location. JR, do you have any questions about what we'd like on the town hall website?
No, I might need some of it from you, but I have.
You just reach out and we'll get you everything we need. If not, we'll get it from the pickleball task force, because I'm sure they have it as well.
And we should do a Friday flash or two.
I agree. We should do a Friday flash or two to also
Definitely.
communicate.
Definitely.
Yes. Very good. Great communication. Communication will be much better on this. Yes.
So a further clarification is, after that meeting on the 15th, if I have the date correctly, Wednesday the 15th,
Mhm.
after that meeting, we may be at a decision point,
Right. But we may need to put, if we have a vote, we'll need to put it on to the next board meeting,
which is the week later.
which is a week later to do the official vote.
That would be my opinion.
So we
Yes,
may
that
lead,
meeting that night.
since we publish those board meeting agendas and prepare them more than a week in advance,
We try
we
to.
should put it on there. I would suggest we put it on there as a placeholder. and we use it or delete it on the 22nd as whatever happens on the 15th.
Mhm.
At least it's a placeholder.
Perfect.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Any other discussion or question? Okay. We move on. The next topic is to approve, and my computer is going to
One
give.
member of the Savannah
one
Square
member- thank you.
Supervisory Committee. Since your computer
Thank you. My
since your
computer
computer
is not participating tonight. Okay.
is tired.
It must be
I
from a long
move to
day.
approve the member that's identified in our board pack.
Thank you. Do I have a second to approve the member to the Savannah Square Service Area Committee?
Absolutely.
A second?
Looks
Any-
darn qualified.
Very, yes, person is very qualified. Are there any
Absolutely very.
questions or discussion regarding the application?
Great application.
All right, I will call the vote. Celia? She's not unmuted. There you go. Celia, are you there?
Yes. Yes,
Jackson.
I say yes.
Yes, and yes, thank you. Jackson?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yeah.
David?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. I did get communication that Mr. Kirby is delayed in travel, so he has not joined us yet. The next,
I would 4 through 10 to get.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say
I was
thank
gonna-
you.
Okay, go ahead.
I make a motion that 4 through 10 be done on unanimous consent or something like that.
Yes.
So just to clarify for the people watching, items 4 through 10 are contracts to approve, contracts with our partner vendors. That's Aqua Yoga, Casti Sports Academy, Celebration Flag Football, Phoenix Lacrosse, Celebration Little League, and Family Fitness and Little Fins. These are our program partners. These contracts have all been reviewed and approved recommended for approval by the Recreation Committee. And that the contracts have been reviewed by the board members. Do we have a motion to approve 4 through 10?
You just made the motion.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
And do we have?
Could I make a comment, please?
Yes.
The board did bring up, David in particular brought up a comment about just some wording changes which were made. But I just would like the motion to stipulate that all the contracts have that same wording consistently. It was,
It had to do
COVID.
with COVID.
It had to do
COVID
with
safety
COVID
measures.
protocols.
Compliance.
And there were two parts of that. One of them, 2 of them didn't have it. And then the other part was not just that they read, but they're going to follow
Comply.
through. Comply,
Yes.
thank you.
So I did add
But
them, but we
just-
just want them all.
It was
to
a
be
matter of
consistent.
compliance with CROA's COVID protocols. That was
Which
it.
in today's world is, especially in celebration right now, is very, very important. So thank you,
So
David,
thank you
for bringing
thank
that
you for
up.
doing that.
Well,
Making
and
it
then
happen.
that made me look harder at the contract. And there's a clause in there in Exhibit A that says that the partner will be required to attend at least 3 or 4 CROA events. I don't understand that. I don't know why that's there and what, like what, to do what?
So, do you want me to answer?
No, yes, you answer.
So the Recreation Committee wants these partners to come out and promote their events and be part of the community events in exchange for the partnership agreement. Remember, we're sharing revenues with them. And so we want them out there to sign up people and to be engaged and part of the community. That's all.
That includes like marching in the parade.
Yeah,
and-
yeah, and that's.
Okay.
it's really-
Or when we did the, what was it
Is
called?
that a
Hot-
fair,
hot
is that a
food-
fair answer?
Hush,
Steve?
Push.
Food Truck
Yeah.
Friday,
Yeah.
have a presence in the community. That was
Okay.
all.
Okay.
And that helps promote
Oh,
their
no, it
business
just
as well.
was, yeah.
No, no, no.
That's
good.
all it was.
No,
I
the
mean, I
good-
know why the chorus,
Call the
you know,
question.
goes, that's easy. but-
I'm gonna call the vote.
Okay,
Celia,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Cindy,
yes.
Brian,
Yeah.
David.
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. All contracts have passed through item number 10. Item 11 is Spring Lake Gardens Service Area Landscape Update. We have made a commitment to the Spring Lake Gardens to have a monthly update on how their new landscape contract is going. So we have an update tonight. Who is handling that?
That would be me. So we had our monthly walk and this one, Cindy, I'd like to refer to you, please. At the last meeting, you suggested that we have Albert Riddle, who's CROA's landscape architect, attend the meeting to address one of the mews that is very concerning for residents, Crimson Mew to be specific, which has always been a challenge for residents there because it's full of jasmine. And if you've ever been to Spring Lake, it slopes. And so all the water heads to the bottom and it particularly heads towards Crimson Mew. And then the jasmine there has just been struggling for years. And I know even as a service area manager, I replaced a lot of jasmine, but it still just doesn't look great. So we brought Albert out. And of course, we had Exquisite there too. And residents came out of their homes and kind of came and joined us too. And it was a big discussion. And the end result was that his recommendation plus the residents' vocalization of what they wanted was to change this area of Asiatic jasmine to sod. So they would like to have it zoysia sod, which of course, when you do that, right out there is drip line irrigation. You have to dig that out, cap it, and then install sprinkler systems for sod.
Right.
And then it just gets mowed instead of this jasmine that is constantly perpetuating weeds, which is hard to treat. So right now, Exquisite is working on a quote for that and some plans. And actually that land or part of the land that is right outside the walkway is considered a MU, which falls under CROA. So that will actually be mostly or at least partly a CROA expense for parks and not just the service area. So we'll be presenting that to you soon at some point.
Yeah, very good. I like that creative way of dealing with this. And I think, yes, go ahead.
No, in reading the report, it actually was a pretty darn positive report. They were happy and there was better grades and stuff like that. So it seems like the process is working.
Yes, in fact, we had our Spring Lake Gardens official committee meeting. Was it yesterday? That's the days are blending, but we met with the committee and they had a Zoom publicly noticed meeting and they unanimously voted to keep Exquisite for one more year. So just to let y'all know about that.
One more year starting, I mean.
The year of 2022.
So it's a renewal January 1.
Yes.
Good to know.
And this group made a formal request to meet with the new management company, as many other groups have. I just want to say publicly, we will get all of you in front of management. It's a lot of people and we're scheduling, and Amber and Stacy have been in pretty much half-day meetings every day this week, just trying to do that. So to this particular group which asked, we got it, we understand it, we'll get you in front of them.
Very good.
So the only other comment is I really appreciate you gathering the experts.
Yeah.
So you have the landscape architect and what Albert's recommendation was, his insight, and then having Brian and Exquisite and then their expertise with irrigation as well as landscaping and upkeep. So I think just having the experts involved, I think is so critical. So thank you for that.
Well, and just a little background on this. This contract was with the vendor that the residents chose and ended up saving quite a bit for their monthly assessments in that area because it was a lower price contract that they would ask us to go with. And we did that kind of reluctantly because we had done that before and not gotten good compliance and good execution. But the team has done a great job in making sure that Exquisite had the proper standards and are maintaining them and working with the residents. So thank you.
Well, I would just say that the committee acknowledges that there's still work to be done out there. But that service area has always had challenges. And so they feel like Exquisite at least needs another year to show what they can do because it's very hard for a new company to come in and make a drastic change in 1 year. They're still learning things and making improvements. So that's the plan.
So what's nice in this package is we have a good cost, we have enhanced quality, and we have resident satisfaction.
Nice.
CQS.
Okay. Very good. All right. Any further discussion on Spring Lake
Don't write
Gardens?
that down.
Oh.
That is not for the
Gonna
minutes.
Put that in the minutes. Okay. Any further comments?
Thank you for the report.
Very good. Thank you very much. Number 12, motion to approve a CROA Board of Code of Conduct.
I move to table.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to table the board code of conduct. We'll call the vote because there is no discussion on a motion to table.
Yeah, there's no vote.
There's no discussion, no vote.
Well, there's a vote, but there's.
There's
no
a vote.
I'm
but
sorry, there's a
Yeah,
vote.
there's
I'm
no
sorry.
discussion.
There's
There
a
is a
vote,
vote.
no
Okay.
Yeah.
Celia.
I move to table it.
Okay. Jackson,
Yes.
Cindy,
Sure.
Brian, David,
Yes.
and I have a motion to table that as well. Okay. As we move on. Number 13, motion to ratify the purchase of a gym decline bench from Commercial Fitness Products for the Artisan Park Clubhouse Gym in the amount no greater than $1,250 as approved by the Artisan Park Committee at the July 22nd meeting Artisan Park Service Area Replacement Reserve Fund expenditure.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All right, any conversation, any concerns?
No, it's been ratified by the Artisan Park Committee.
All right, we are just approving something for their budget and signing off on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Number 14, motion to approve 13 service area roof repairs by Performance Roofing in the amount of $10,500, which includes $750 from North Village Townhouse Service Area Replacement Reserves expenditure and $6,750 from South Village Townhouse Service Area Replacement Reserve expenditure, $3,000 from Savannah Square Service Area Replacement Reserve expenditure.
So moved.
Second, I'll second. Any questions or concerns?
So Susanna, these were all paid out of replacement reserves. The exhibits that you and I had.
Well, they will be once they're approved.
Okay, and then the exhibit, these will be paid in August or maybe September, I don't know, and then it.
Amy's prepared to pay him tomorrow, so
So then we'll have an update. Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Brian, when you say an update, are you asking me to
No,
update you?
the exhibit you and I work on will be out of date and we'll,
We'll have to add to that.
as
next
we
week.
have it close the next month, we'll have to add this.
Okay,
Okay, thanks. That's good.
All right,
That's
I am going
confirmation, Jackson,
to,
What I told you.
okay, so no other further. Okay. All in favor of this motion to approve this expenditure?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Number 15, motion to approve the painting of Parkview Townhomes roof eaves and fascias by Vice Painting in the amount of $1,000, Parkview Townhomes Service Area Reserve expenditure.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
A question.
Mhm.
Was this not included in the original budget when we did the roof replacement on Parkview Townhomes? It wasn't, is this an additional?
yes. And
Okay.
so if y'all remember when we had the Parkview meeting where we were just approving the change orders and we showed you the pictures where there was some rotted wood that got replaced. Well, this is the painting of that.
Okay, so this was uncovered when we uncovered that we had to replace the
And-
wood.
Yes,
And
and
then
we
now it needs
did
painting.
communicate this to the Parkview Townhome Service Area. They are aware, the committee is.
Okay, so this was something we could not have anticipated in the initial quote and budget.
No, but we will for phase 2.
Motion,
Lessons learned.
lesson learned. All right, any other discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well. Motion passes. Item 16, motion to approve the landscape replacements for Spring Lake Garden Service Area by Exquisite Landscape in the amount of $5,937, Spring Lake Gardens Reserve expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Anyone
Second.
second?
Second.
David, okay. Any discussion? Any comments on this? No?
Do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
I
straightforward.
think just a general question. When it says they will warranty the work, is that a standard language like warranty for plants for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? What does warranty mean?
Well,
What's
if
your
it
sense?
should die for some reason
Right.
other than natural causes, for instance, if the irrigation isn't working and they haven't repaired it, or maybe they killed it with too much chemicals, or if it's their fault, they will replace it.
Over,
Up to how long, Tim?
I think it's a year.
That's what I thought. too.
Basically a year. Okay,
Mhm.
okay. That's just standard.
Yes.
Thank you.
Home Depot will do that too.
They will. So will us.
Good to know.
There we go.
Drag.
You
drag-
gotta keep your seat. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions, any other comments? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Motion to approve the renewal of Milestone Video Management Software Care Plus package for a 1-year term in the amount of $3,131 or a 3-year term in the amount of $6,666, which is part of the CROA operating expenditure.
Well, those numbers are evil. Sorry.
For discussion purposes, I'll make the motion for a 3-year term in the amount of $6,666 for
Good.
discussion.
I'll
Do
second
I
it
have a
for
second?
discussion.
Yes, so lots of questions. Go ahead.
My first question would be, as we get, so we've adopted grand manners, and as we go through this transition, and Patrick, this is for you too.
He's thinking
And
ahead.
It's coming to the
No,
table. Thank you.
We need now, when we go through these things, to actually say, does Grand Manners change our perception of reality? Would we still use this software? And so Susanna, as we go through the new board packages, especially through into early next year, I'd like to make sure that business decisions we're making are not short-sighted because Grand Manners is going to replace the software and do something. So
Right, yeah, then we don't lock us into something that
so,
we
you know,
should have.
3 years, obviously, when you look at the pricing, it's a no-brainer. But the real question ought to be, how does Grand Manners affect this, and how will this affect going forward?
Well, it shouldn't affect anything much with the management company. This is something that CROA has taken on, and so that belongs to CROA, and you can operate with that as such. I'm not sure what Grand Manners software looks like. I'm not sure if it can be integrated with anything, but the software and the hardware, they're made to work together for the residents, and that's it.
These are the cameras then, right?
These are the
Just made us on the camera, which we were
And-
talking
and I
about today.
understand
Well,
that.
no, I'm just
And if
asking
the
for
camera-
clarity.
Yeah, if the camera software is not going to change because of Grand Manners, great, I'm comfortable doing the approval. But in the future, I'd like to actually, for every board meeting now, say, there's no Grand Manor impacts, or you need to
Got
be
it.
aware of this.
Got it.
And
So would you
understood.
like
At
to
some
make
point in
the,
time, it won't matter anymore because it'll be in the newer world, but I don't want to waste 5,000 or 10,000 and find out we should have done.
would you
That's
like
my
to
point.
make the motion approval on the condition that we check with Grand Manners on their software package?
That'd be great.
Okay.
I think that would be wise, because I know we've already encountered that on a couple things like cell service and things
Yeah, I
that
would
will
perfectly-
be wrapped
That'd be
into the
fine.
new
I would be-
contract and
and
new
it's
system.
not for the motion, but I would be perfectly comfortable. Some of the stuff just like the Amber in her interim role. And she says, go with God, we're great. And you may say it has zero impact, and I'm happy with that, as long as we ask.
But my question is more for budgeting, if we're gonna have to
You
add
were
3
right.
or 6,000 hours. But my other point is,
Well, this is savings, actually, I hope.
well, yeah. My other thing is, this is prepared for the City of Celebration, Patrick. This needs to be CROA.
Yeah, that's just for the proposal. but
Well,
the-
yeah. But I mean, there's a place
Yeah,
to
there's a place to sign, yeah.
sign, so just make sure that they correct it to CROA.
You're good, good point, yeah.
So Patrick, when does the current contract expire? Or when would a new contract, 1 or 3 years, take effect?
September, it will expire. The current one expires
End
in
of September?
Correct.
So do we need to decide this tonight, or do we make, I mean, the whole discussion of working with Grand Manners to see,
Well, I think it was on the condition that we check the
I'm happy
software
for us
with
to do
Grand
an
Manners.
approval with one condition. which
Okay,
Amber
that's
says,
fine.
Go with God.
okay,
And then we're
Okay.
good.
then we're done, okay.
Okay, so whoever
I motion.
motion and second, are you good with changing it with?
I'm fine with that.
Are we gonna go with the 1 or the 3? Or that's.
His motion was for the
Three.
three, with the condition that we run it through Grand Manners and make sure it's not a duplication of efforts. Okay, any other questions or concerns? All right, I will call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I think that was everyone. And I'm also in favor, motion passes. Through. Get back to the agenda, and again, hoping my computer
Discussion of Jeter
cooperates.
Bend.
Oh, yes. Next motion is discussion of Jeter Bend holiday traffic patterns,
I
right?
move to table.
Second.
Call the vote. Cecilia?
Table.
What did she vote?
I
Table.
couldn't,
I think she said.
Yes,
Okay.
table it.
okay, thank you. I couldn't hear you. Jackson?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Brian, yes. David?
Yes,
And I'm a yes as well. We're going to table that. Number 19, discussion of management company transition. Our liaisons, who's going to give us a report, or are we
Well,
going
first of
to?
all, could you just, I asked you to make a clarification. You want to do that first?
Yes, just, I don't know that we made clear that we, CCMC has been our business partner for many years, and they are still actively managing our community up to October 31st until this contract takes effect November 1st. But Grand Manners, as part of their transition plan, will be on site and will be learning and starting the transition process. But CCMC will still be the employee, will still be our management company up to that time. Does that?
Correct.
Okay, transition?
So just a couple of things, just to clarify, based on what's happened tonight and the approval of the contract and the presumed approval by CCS later tonight, and then the approved proposed, the assumed proposal by CJC, a lot of initials. This does a couple of things that are important here. One is it begins the transfer of data from CCMC over to Grand Manners. Amber and I have talked through that. We have some dates in mind that they're already talking to CCMC. CCMC has been extremely cooperative. We appreciate that so much. And we will start that process. Cindy will be sort of keeping her eyes on that movement of data over, but we'll start that immediately. The second big piece is employee offers that can now be made, and that obviously is of major importance to us and to the staff, and so that will be happening.
And we fully expect that there will be offers to the employees.
We absolutely do, and we're excited about that. The third step is communication. I'll let David talk about that in a second, but we have developed some communication plans to help the community be well aware of the transition and what it means and how to use the new portals and information. We're incredibly excited about that. And so those pieces are moving. We have a transition plan that Grand Manners has put together and that we have been talking through. We have some target dates. We have identified actions that Grand Manners will be taking, Amber and Stacy in particular, and their back office staff. There are certain actions that we as a board will need to take as we get into September. And we are moving forward on all of those. So we are meeting on a regular basis to talk through that. One piece of that we've alluded to already is that we are doing what I call meet and greets with Amber and Stacy to meet a wide variety of people in the community. And as soon as I say that, I know some people will say, well, I haven't been invited yet. We will get to all the relevant stakeholders at various times and places. What we're trying to do right now is to give them a 30,000-foot view of the community. And so I will take full blame for this. I have picked, with some help from the board, the individuals that I first wanted them to meet with, but we will get to everyone. We are doing, I don't know, 4 or 5 of these meetings every single day. Amber's been here all week. Stacy was here and just left, and I think maybe even be on the call via Zoom. So we are in that process, and it's a listening tour. It's really an opportunity for them to hear from various stakeholders. So if you are out there and you're listening tonight and you desperately want to get in front of Amber and Stacy, send an email to me or to the CROA board. We will schedule you as quickly as we can do that. So those are the pieces coming from my end.
I don't know if it's a question or you or maybe David with communication, but the transition plan now starts to get organized and take effect. And we got 3 of you because 7 chiefs never works. How will you communicate with the board or status updates or however you're thinking about it?
We will, I think our intention is to report back to the board at least on a weekly basis and on an as needed basis if something else comes up. We're trying not to inundate the whole board because there's a lot of small moving pieces, but big decisions we want to get in front of you and let you know where we stand. So as we get into executive director conversations, we're going to clearly let everyone know about that. As we move into transitional pieces about data and CIRANET and how all that works, same thing. But in the transition plan that I think that we've got, there is a regular point of communication from Grand Manners to us, and our view is to translate that and bring it out to the rest of the board. So,
because I guess one of the things I will, and this probably Cindy's here, but one of the things I will care about as we move forward is at some point you're going to have converted data, and I assume we'll have a parallel financial statement or something like that. And
that's on the top of my list.
You know, if it takes a month for you to do that,
boy.
it's okay. But I would love, you know, so those are the kind of things. You know, the day-to-day junk rate, I don't care about that, but you know, a couple of those big things.
You do care. You care greatly. Just you care more about the financial parts. That's your job. David.
So some follow-ons to Jackson. A couple of foundations I think are important. One is that Grand Manners has done this before. We have not. So they came up with a 4.5-month timeline because that's what we said through the RFP process, that this contract, current contract with CCMC was ending at the end of December. So that gives 4.5 months. We accelerated that timeline. So the timeline is now 2.5 months from a couple of weeks ago. So we're dealing with November 1st, and they've done this before. They have a detailed timeline. They've accelerated it. That was ready upon right after our approval in this room a couple of weeks ago. In terms of communication, our full population with our residents and guests will read about Grand Manners, not just with what's online now for our residents, but with the celebration news in the September article. There'll be a one-page article with introducing Amber as the interim executive director. And so there will be follow-on articles in the months to follow. That's news to Amber. But there will be follow-on articles to introduce more about Grand Manners. And then the other part that's very exciting with, and Jackson alluded to that or mentioned CROA, which is their portal, which will be a portal. Every resident will have access to a portal, and they'll have their own resident. Each of us will have a, not you, each of the residents will have a, each of the residents will have a resident
There will be a
page.
management part of it.
Oh, yes.
The board will have a portal, contractors will have a portal, legal will have a portal. So we have different portals, but that's going to go live, according to my assurances from Stacy and Amber yesterday, November 1st. And I verify, are you sure November 1st? All that's going live? Yeah, that's going live. So that's very exciting. And then there'll be.
Amber's in the back going.
They've done this before.
So
What year did you agree to?
point of clarification, I did not ask the year.
Oh, boy.
It was November 1st. So that again, more communication with the full board on a regular basis. And we're meeting regularly with them, the three of us, with our different responsibilities.
One thing we will, just a couple comments on communication is, this is even more important for our residents to be signed up for the Friday Flash, to have their information current with online with us, so we can, as we move from one system to the next, that the proper information flows with you. We will be sending out so many things on Friday Flash, because you'll pay your third quarter assessments in the old fashion, and then your fourth quarter assessments will be paid in the new fashion, which will be a new account set up online and many new options for you that we did not have before. So it's really important that we will make a push to get more people signed up for the Friday Flash and update the communication method that they have on file with us.
And we'll have further illustrations of what the portal means, and where you can look at your own records.
Oh, yeah, pay
And
online.
I know that Grand Manners has videos about how to use or how to access the portal. So we'll, again, watch the Friday Flash, watch the Celebration News articles,
Exactly.
and that'll be introducing you to the portal. And of course, if you have questions as you try to access the portal, once it goes live, then you call and there'll be a quick response on that.
And something, I don't expect maybe we'll have it on November 1st, but one of the things that will make people actually agree to give email address and stuff that's value to them. And when Jackson and I were in Plano, we talked with the portal, we could add Celebration Foundation as an example and have a link to them so that they could calendar things and stuff like that. CDD could be linked to the portal and stuff like that. So it actually becomes something meaningful for people in town to go to find out a number of things, calendaring and all kinds of stuff like that. So, and agree, we've got a lot between now and November 1st, so maybe it'll continue to evolve, but that would be a good thing.
Okay. Celia has her hand up, but you can finish and then I'll go with Celia.
My question is, how are we managing employees over the next 2 months? They're obviously, excuse me, I'm fighting a cold, CCMC employees, but we're in this transition, and as they have questions, is everybody going to Susanna with questions and Susanna goes to Amber, or how's it working?
Yes, so far Amber and I have been communicating, and so she'll provide information to me and then I'll pass it along to everyone on the team. So that's how we've been working so far. It's been well.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, up until for the next 2 months for the transition, they are still employees of CCMC. So Susanna should be going to Steve,
Yes.
who is acting as the executive director right now. if she has any questions, which we have been communicating of what is going to move past that point, then I can answer the question.
Yeah, my worry or my concern is I've been through this in my corporate life, and the old starts worrying about their newest problems, and the new is the real problem, or not the problem. The new is the opportunity, and not having communication lapse in 2 months is critical, and that probably falls into your lap, just to make sure that we're.
Well, and it already seems like they've got a good communication set up, so I'm glad that that'll continue to move forward.
I need to make one clarification.
Okay.
I think Brian talked about when dues would be paid. Fourth quarter for us isn't that an October 1st payment?
October 1st.
And that means that CCMC would
Yes.
still be in effect.
I'm sorry, so first quarter, sorry.
For that.
Yeah, I think that was
that
my mistake.
collection. So just to be clear.
Yeah.
Yes,
But I do anticipate at November 1st, Graham Manor
Yes,
will send
absolutely,
out the
absolutely. I just wanted to
statements
make
for
sure
the new
we're-
year.
Yes.
You're absolutely right.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Celia.
that's fine. Let's clarify. Celia, you had your hand up, ma'am.
Okay, wait, let me see if I'm unmuted.
You are, I can hear you.
Okay, with the communication for the residents, is there any way that JR could put the QR code on the Celebration Town Facebook page so that we can get the residents to just take a picture of it on their cell phone and get on the Friday Flash?
That's a good idea. You can, but that's more the residents that have access to that. That's up to you.
Well, if anybody comes to Food Truck Friday and does that, I don't know if they're residents, if they're signing up for the Friday Flash. So if, the everyday town hall puts something out there, it's National Hot Dog Day, can you just put that on there so people can do it right from their cell phone?
There's a security risk.
Lee Moore's saying, or someone was saying that they can't do it off the cell, they can't take a picture off their cell phone. Yeah, so that might not work. Why don't we ask JR to come up with some ideas on how to,
There's a link.
there's a link, yeah, he can publish a link instead of the QR code.
Okay, and also, the meet and greets that Jackson's setting up. This is just off the top of my head, and I know we could discuss this further. But Food Truck Friday is on September 10th. Is there any way we can have our CROA tent out there, communicate with the residents to sign up for the Friday Flash, and maybe have Amber or Stacy join us under the CROA tent to meet the community?
We propose that to the liaisons and they'll see what they can work out. That's probably,
Okay,
let's see if we can work that out. Okay,
thank you.
no problem. There's a lot of comments in the chat box here. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it's just back and forth. So Lee asked a question of how will this impact lockbox closings, inspections in town? That's part of the transition, the
Right.
whole estoppel
We've got
process.
this
and
fairly long,
yeah.
extensive
Yeah.
list.
Already discussing.
It
that.
Lee, we are discussing that. It's in process, but I just wanted to
There'll be a new system. in place
acknowledge your
November
comment.
1st. Yeah.
No problem. All right, any other transition?
Nope.
Okay, let's move on with the agenda then. Motion to initiate the finding process on 13 non-compliance items to the notification of the Covenants Committee meeting to approve or reject the fine.
So moved.
Second, any questions or concerns, discussion on that? Very good. We'll call the vote. Celia? I think she's muted again. Hi, Celia. All in favor? Aye, we have enough to pass
Aye.
that. There we go. Thank you. Very good. So motion passes. Motion to approve the conversion of 2 fines to special assessments. It's still 2, right? Nothing's changed there? No. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do I second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Then we have the motion to approve 4 resident requested fee waivers as recommended by management.
Isn't it 5?
No, there were
One
five.
says 4 and one says 5. That's why.
There were 4, but one was deferring to the board.
Yes, so there are 5 properties listed on there,
Mhm.
but the practice has been to allow only 2 waivers per 5 years. There is one resident who's had exceeded that amount is asking, but we still put it on there for the board to
There we go.
vote.
That's the
It's just not
difference.
recommended by management.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the 4 recommended by management? And then we can address the,
Let's do it 2 separate motions.
yeah, 2 separate motions.
Well,
So do we have a motion to approve the 4 that were recommended by,
but I have questions.
We
but
need a
that'll go
motion
after.
we have a
discuss.
motion, discuss it first.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, and Cindy, would you like to second? And then we'll open those
Sure.
4 for discussion?
I'll second it.
Okay, so let's discuss the 4 that management has recommended that we approve.
Okay. I noticed that 3 out of the 4 are past due still. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are they 30 days past? I mean, we're gonna waive these and then are they gonna just keep racking them up as the months go on?
Right. It's a good question. I don't know how, obviously, the number 3 is extensive. That's not just 1 month's.
Right?
You could tell that number 4 is probably 1 month, 5, maybe 2, but number 3 is a little bit longer. So I don't know. I can talk to our financial clerk and see what she says as far as if they have a payment plan in progress.
Yeah, I was struggling with the same thing. Number 1 had 12 in the last 5 years. Number 4 has had 4. I was looking at the same thing Cindy was looking at. I mean, number 2, I was happy with. But
Yeah, that's obviously just an error on their part.
number 3's got a huge problem.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it's, I don't know why we're waiving.
Yeah,
Because I'm gonna
I
ask why
would
the heck
like
we're
to
waiving.
revise my motion.
Well, the waivers are just requests, so they may have had that many late fees, but they haven't asked for waivers.
But maybe they have.
Well, no, so.
No, there's a
previous waivers-
column there.
So previous waivers in the past 5 years, 0. They had late fees, they had 12, but they've never had a waiver.
Yeah, but I don't think we should be encouraging late fees. I mean, we want people to pay on time. So I'm going to revise my motion to only approve waiving the fee for item number 2. I think that's it. That's my revised motion. Cindy was the second. So let her.
So, before you
Yeah,
second
go,
me,
go. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, so when I look at number 1, Jackson,
Yeah.
it looks like the late fees and the interest make up the balance. There's something
Yes.
really weird with number 3
Yeah.
and number 4. So I'm.
Well, I mean, number 2, they paid it already.
They-
They-
Well,
they
that's
paid
that's
the-
why I was.
Well, why are
They
we
paid the
waiving-
late
why are
fee.
we
Number
waiving
2.
something they paid?
I don't
Well, 'cause-
understand number 1.
Yeah.
I mean, it maybe it's the number of late fees in 5 years, 12
Mhm.
late fees is not something that I think we should encourage by waiving the fee.
Number 1 waived everything, assuming paid everything except what they're
The-
asking for a waiver.
right.
Is what they did.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, is that?
And
But
I
there's been
guess-
12 late payments.
So is this the balance on the balance on the account is
Yeah.
$59.60?
Yes.
Right.
My-
Which makes up the 50 and the 960. That's what I'm saying.
Normally on these reports, there's usually the check was not deposited on time or the,
None of this.
yeah, we don't have a
Yeah.
lot of comments other than management recommends to give a little more of the backstory on each one of
Okay,
these.
well, we can table this to the next meeting if you want.
I'm confused by some of these, especially the ones that are still
Like
in,
number 3.
yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Okay.
Number
Okay.
3 and number 5, I'm gonna struggle with big time.
Yeah, I am too.
So the other question on, when it says management recommends waiving these fees, which fees? Is it the balance or just the late fees and interest?
It'd be both probably.
It's the late fees.
So we just need to be clear.
It's late fee and interest.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you're right,
but it's
you're
not
right.
the
It's
ba-
late
not-
fee and
Not-
interest.
no, not their
Well, Number
dues.
1, the late fee and the balance, and the
Right,
interest actually make up the balance.
Right,
But in number
exactly.
3, it's clearly not.
And Number
No,
4 is clearly not.
no, it's not.
So
Could we just-
that's why my motion is to only approve
Okay.
item 2.
And I will second that because I think number 2 is clear.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and say, I will second that since you modified your motion. All in favor to approve number 2?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Now, number 1 has paid everything,
Mhm.
assuming that they're gonna get a waiver.
Mhm.
So why aren't they current?
But the number of.
Because
late
they didn't
fees-
pay the way,
Because
they didn't pay the
late
late fee and the
interest.
interest.
They paid, that's what they haven't paid.
Well, but I would still consider them current if they paid their assessment.
Well, no.
No,
they're not
'cause they have-
because
they have a
haven't
late
paid the
fee.
Late fee and the
Yeah.
interest.
I
which is
wouldn't.
which is
They've
due.
had 12 late fees in the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's
I
a
mean,
lot.
I mean, if somebody wants to make the motion, they can make it, but I'm opposed to waiving the fee for number one.
Right.
Well, but she said, but they haven't
It's not
been
about the amount of the
waived.
fee. I'm talking about the number of late payments.
Right. They have
In other words,
paid
they're
late
constantly
12
late is
times
what he's
and most
saying,
like,
12 times.
well, but we haven't, but he's paid the late fees
He
up
has.
until
I
now.
don't care that they paid the late
Okay.
fees. I don't like the
Right.
fact that we've got 12 payments that are late in
yeah,
5 years. That's a
Jackson
lot.
has acknowledged the
That's
fact that he
just
knows
like-
that they've paid. It's just he
5
doesn't.
times 4 is 20, so 12 out of 20 means 60% of the time they're
Yeah.
late.
Okay.
And I just don't think
We don't
that's the
want to
sort of
encourage
thing
that.
that we.
If someone
this
wants to
is
make
an
a motion, go
accommodation
ahead, but
to
it
an
won't be
owner, and
me.
I don't think we need to
Mhm.
make this one.
Okay.
So
So our motion, we're through with this report and the only one we're approving is number 2.
it's all I'm good with.
And there's no other motions to be made.
But we were talking about 1 to 4.
We're not
Um,
approving.
We
No,
changed
But I
the
mean, but our motion was 1 through
No, we
4.
changed.
He changed his motion to approve number 2 only, and we
Right,
voted
but those are the
yes.
only ones that we're talking about for now. Now
Ju-
we're going to talk about number 5.
If you would like to make a motion, discuss number 5, we
Well, I
can.
want to know if they're on a payment plan.
We
So-
don't have that information.
No, I don't have it.
So,
Okay, we
5
need more
waivers in the
information,
previous
but
years.
get
I'm
them-
not-
They need to be current or on a payment plan, and we need that detail.
okay,
I know- I know
I would
this
make,
name.
just one moment, I would make a motion to deny number 5 based on the fact that they've had 5 waivers.
That'd be fine.
Does anyone
Okay.
second that motion?
Second.
Any discussion on that?
I think it would depend on if they have a payment plan. Because if you have a payment plan, you still continue to rack up late fees and interest
But they don't
until you
have,
pay the
We've
payment
given
plan
them
in
5
full.
waivers.
yeah, and normally we only give them 2 waivers, right? And I'm
Two
not sure
over a
how they have
5-year period.
We need
5.
more information if there's something to be considered.
Okay,
So
I will call the vote on the motion in the second to deny number 5's request for a waiver. Celia,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
Brian was an aye,
Aye.
David's aye, I'm an aye as well, so that one is declined. So we still need more information from you, from the management on 1, 3, and 4, please.
Yep.
And I assume that will be at our next board meeting.
Yes.
Good.
All right, so we are now to the end of
Board comments.
board comments. Who would like to make board comments this
I
evening?
need to go first.
Brian would like to go first.
We don't
By all
worry about
means.
you being
Brian has
sick.
Because you all are afraid you're gonna go home.
We do have another meeting after this, but go right ahead.
That's all right. Lawn sports is gonna have a meeting on September 15th.
Yes.
We talked about there, and what they have made as you all know from an email, they have made a decision on where they would like to go, but they need a landscape architect to work with them, just to give them some feedback so they can put together something intelligent. So my recommendation, and Celia's too, is that we ask Albert Riddle to work with them. That would require that a little money is going to be spent on CROA's behalf, but it gives us an intelligent drawing and feedback for what we need to do. So I'm asking if the board is okay with that. Or if anybody wants to do a test.
No.
Okay.
I think
So
that's a
then-
great idea because we
so
get
then
good information
Susanna,
up front.
can You or somebody on your staff reach out to the Adult Sports Task Force and Albert and say, good to go for 4
It's
o'clock on
already
the
done.
20th. You're good. We need to have a budget meeting since you all scheduled the meeting when I had originally put it.
The month of
So I-
September is filling up, buddy. You better find it today.
Yeah, well, I would be in a position, I updated today, met with Amber and Diana. I mean, I'm in a position, and Cindy was also there. I'm in a position to send something out as soon as I need to, really. I mean, we can jockey and tailor and play with it a little. I think if the board should have a week to review it, ask questions, and I think 2 hours is more than enough time. I think we could do this from 5 to 7, 4 to 6, whatever. I don't care.
When would you like to?
Well, no, the question is, when do you want to do it? I mean,
I'm fine with it.
it'll
We
be a
can
Zoom meeting.
always, I mean, I'm open, if you want a Friday morning, if you want a evening meeting, if. It's up to
Budgets are
you.
usually in the morning.
They are. We'd have another,
Some
well,
people play golf on mornings.
Oh,
in a protection
Well-
of another night meeting, or we could do it.
it requires so much concentration.
It does, and caffeine.
It doesn't.
Is anyone open to it? Well, you're gonna be out of town anyway, but are you playing golf out of town on Friday mornings?
I don't care. I can.
You can play golf anytime.
Don't you have an important concert
The Eagles.
somewhere around there? Yes.
Eagles, yeah, you better not miss that. What week are you talking?
I don't care. When are you all ready? That's the question.
Friday the 10th? Is that too far away?
Perfect.
Friday the 10th is fine.
In the morning? How early do y'all start?
Are we zooming, did you say?
You can Zoom or you can, if you're, yeah, we can do a hybrid as we normally do. So let's do Friday the 10th at 9 or 10? 9? 9's fine with me. You know, I'm
9's
up
fine.
early. Friday the 10th at 9 a.m. Could you please coordinate that? Thank you very much. Okay, so that
So
takes. us-
Susanna, that's in your court, right?
Yes.
And you're saying 2 hours should be max? I don't want to interfere with my right.
Or otherwise my wife will be mad at you, so yeah.
Okay, I would think, yeah,
I will
and you're
have-
gonna send out the
You will have it-
documentation
you
to
will have a
review.
package well in advance.
Okay.
Since it's ready to go
Okay,
already. There's
perfect.
A few minor things, so
Okay. Anything else you wanted to discuss, sir?
I'm good.
Jackson?
I received an email from Jack McLaughlin at CCDD on the basis of their meeting last night. So the first part, the relatively easy part, is that there are townhomes, the Charleston townhomes in North Village. And it turns out from doing surveys that part of the land that is around the townhomes, the common areas, for some unbeknown reason was deeded to CCDD, but it's not really their responsibility. It's really CROA service area property. What I have recommended to the CCDD is that they bring their attorney, Jen Carpenter, together with the CROA attorney, Tom Slayton, for the purposes of what's called a quitclaim deed. That's a simple deed that transfers the ownership and allows us to take care of that. The survey also apparently improperly surveyed area in front of 12 of those townhomes. And that doesn't belong to CDD under any circumstance. So I've asked that the lawyers get together, talk about it, figure out, get the surveys right. My guess is that there's probably more than just this one service area where it's improperly been deeded, but this is the first one that's come up. So I just want to let the board know that's happening and we'll work on that. And I think CDD is good with that.
I feel like Charleston's a little bit of an
It's a weird
original.
one, yeah.
Because it has the streets within it. It's like its own
Yeah.
little entity. And then this came up because the light posts out there are
Right, and
needs some maintenance.
CDD, right, was saying like, we don't maintain this, it should be you
Right,
guys, right?
right.
Tim, you know, so thank you to you guys, to Tim and Susanna and Jim for figuring out that something was wrong, and then CDD was like, oh, we don't want this, so, okay.
Mhm.
The second thing, I don't even know how to characterize this. You'll recall that CCDD made a proposal to the board for the use of land to the east of the CDD building. I think it was, what, 50 feet or so?
60 feet.
60 feet for storage of their equipment and dumpsters and whatever, and they were gonna pretty it up and do it. And we came back and said, okay, make us a lease offer. And we got the lease offer.
It's 60 square feet or
No.
60
60
feet?
60 feet.
60 feet.
Along the roadway.
Along the
It'd be
roadway.
from the,
Yeah.
well, it'd be from the road all the way back.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's the depth of the
It's the
lot.
depth of the lot.
Right. So you ready for their offer? It's $100 a month. And the note
Is that per
says
square
anything
foot?
less would
Per
be
square
really
foot?
appreciated.
Per day.
No, for the whole thing, anything less would be really appreciated since it's all of our money. I have a comment for those of you from the CCDD who might be listening. It's all our money when you charged us $200,000 for the right of way.
45.
$245,000 for the
Yes.
right of way on that road. Great, you want to rebate us $240,000, we'll rent you this for $100 a month in my view, but hell no, I'm not going to do that. So I'm telling you, it's, you know, we can decide what we want to do with it. It's not an action item, but I'm not pleased with this change of heart. If it's really all our money, and it is, then why is it only all of our money when CCDD has to pay and not when CROA has to pay? We got to rethink that relationship.
And we had talked at our last board meeting about Jeter Band, and we had talked about maybe $3,600 in total expense, 1,800 from us, 1,800 from CCD, and CCD does not want to pay their $1,800 either. So
that's why we tabled that.
We probably, since we're talking about lot D and B and everything, we may just want to tell them
No.
to step on their land, and we'll
Take our
worry
part.
about B and D and moving forward with our initiatives.
I'd love to work with CCDD. They're good people, and I think they've got the best interests of the community in mind, but I think there's some myopia here, and I think this needs to change. And my hope is that with new management all the way around, that we can reach some better accommodations. But I agree with Brian. We're talking about lot B and lot D. This is not the time to be leasing space.
Do we need to formally vote on that at our next board meeting?
We do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Susanna, could you make sure that that gets onto our agenda for the next board meeting to vote about the $100 a month proposal? Any other comments, Jackson?
Well, I do have a note from Greg Filak from CCDD. He says, what I'm saying is not what we got last night. I'm glad to have that conversation, Greg, with
Greg's
you or any
online,
member
so.
of.
That's what we got in email.
I got an email that said, I was reading from the email, my friend. So, I'd
Well,
love
let's
to
hope
hear
there
that
was a
it's something different.
communication error.
I
We
hope
can
it was.
correct it before the next board
I hope it
meeting.
was,
Yes,
and
I'm
thank you
sure.
for the flowers also.
Thank you, Greg, for that text. We will work through this and make sure we get accurate information.
Right.
All right, I have one thing I'd like to report back on. Actually, Greg Filak and I met with some representatives from the school board to start discussions about the private use agreement that we have with the land at the K-8 school, which includes the tennis courts, which are in disrepair, and much needed tennis courts or sports court use for CROA. So we are at the beginnings of those conversations. We also talked about the ball field and the fence, and we also talked about other possible uses for that big plot of land that the school honestly does not use very much. So we're at the very cusp of those meetings. We have a follow-up meeting in September with the principal of the school and the representatives from the school board. So while it was a very promising meeting, I hope it continues. We're just at the very beginning of the conversation, but anything to get those tennis courts refurbished and usable would be a very positive end result. So I will continue work with the school board on that in conjunction with Greg from CCTD. So,
Question on that.
Yes.
Right now, we have no use agreement because that has expired. Is that correct?
no, it hasn't.
No,
It
we
was.
go till July of 2022.
Yeah.
Oh, it goes till July of 2022.
Right.
And
And
the,
then- Mm-hmm.
the Recreation Committee is aware of that. They predicated some of the contracts that we approved tonight on the continuing 1-year period or up roughly a year to that contract expiration.
And which we will also talk about. Whether that is going to be renewed, because if it's not going to be renewed, that changes the,
And then what our obligations are and our budgetary expenses are
yes,
annually.
yes. So that we are just at the beginning of that. So,
Okay.
and I will update you as that moves along.
Move to adjourn.
We are ready to go to our next meeting. So we will move to make a motion to adjourn.
Did.
He did. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all for joining us. It's nice to see so many people out there.